We're live. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good
Good to
stuff.
see you, Brian.
Thanks for joining me. This is the first time we've kind of done one of these. I think Georgie, Zach did a few of the coach bios back in lockdown where she interviewed a few of the coaches. So she did
Hmm.
something a little bit similar to this.
Yep.
Um, but I thought I was reading through Stevie G sent through some roles and responsibilities, and I was looking at my one of my responsibilities, and it said to kind of celebrate race success, and so I thought, that was last week when he sent that through, and funnily enough, it was quite a success last week, and that was you landing quite a spectacular win at the Dirt Half local race in Leighton Buzzard last week.
Yep.
So I just thought just uh, sort of ask a few questions about that, about your training, about the prep, and that really just to share that with the rest of the club
Hmm.
and see if there's anything that training tip wise or anything like that. So maybe we can get some other LB triers sort of chomping at your heels next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good.
Cool. Excellent. Okay. So, I mean, this wasn't your first win there as well. I mean, this was your second win.
It's actually my third win,
Ah,
but yeah, I won it last year. So yeah, I kind of held on to it this year. So yeah, 2 years on the trot. But yeah, actually my third win, third one, the first time I won it, yeah, was a couple of years ago now. But yeah, last year and then this year again. So
that's
yeah,
superb.
good.
Yeah, no, that's good. I've actually got a little bit of the footage from Dirt Half themselves on Instagram. So we'll just see it coming over the line. Let's just see if I can find that now. That's gonna be here. There you go. Don't know if you can see that. You know what? I'm just gonna make sure that this is actually recording the screen before we go too much further. So if I go back to here, it says it's recording. Um, and I'm going to share my screen, so share, and hopefully you can see that.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's you crossing the. You probably have seen this already.
Yeah.
That's you. It's a bit grainy. There's a nice close up, and there you go, over the line. Nice one. Well done. Right, so let me put that back up. So I trust you can see that. I am going to stop sharing. I'm sure it's still recording. Fingers crossed. Share. Um, oh my God. Can't unshare it, but how do you get rid of that? Right. So anyway, look, I'm not going to fuss about with too much of that while we're on the subject. Um, okay, so let's jump into the questions. Um, So the first question I had for you was, can you tell us a bit about yourself and how you found yourself competing at such a high level? Because it's not just a dirt half. I mean, you're a regular at London Marathon, and there's some phenomenal times that you've knocked out there. So just a bit about you. You've been a member for a number of years. So yeah, let us know who Jamie Farmer really is.
Yeah, so for those that don't know me, I'm Jamie Farmer. I've been a member of the club since 2012 actually. Um, and I first actually I didn't actually get into running until quite late. It wasn't until about 2010. I I was playing football. I used to play football a lot, and I got injured playing football, and then I was out for half the season through injury. And then once the injury was all sorted, just to kind of get my fitness back up, I just started running because it was out of season. So I just started running, just to kind of get a bit of fitness back, before the next season. So I was just kind of just doing bits of running here and there, just kind of on my own, just up and down the canal and sort of round town and stuff. Nothing sort of too serious. Um, and then I started playing football again the next season. But
What year was that? Sorry.
that was 2010.
Okay. Oh my word. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so I started playing football again in the following season. And two things. One, I wasn't feeling too sort of comfortable following the injury. I wasn't. I used to play in defence, so I wasn't kind of committed into sort of going into tackles like I was before because
Yeah.
following the injury. And also, I was starting to enjoy my running a lot more, and I was thinking it was only Sunday league football, and you get some idiots playing Sunday league football, and I was sort of thinking at that time,
Yeah.
if I get injured, then I can't do any running, so it'll kind of
Uh,
put me out of both. And like I say, I was kind of enjoying my running a lot more and was getting into it a bit more, doing it a bit more. Um, and it was actually a guy who I was working with at the time. He actually was entering the dirt half in 2010. He lived in Milton Keynes, but he was entering it. So he wasn't kind of he wasn't from town, but yeah, he was entering it, and it kind of just sort of set a bit of a seed. And I just thought, well, I'm enjoying running, so I ended up giving up football and
yeah.
yeah, kind of done some more sort of running. And then I heard about the Tri Club, and then I enjoyed sort of biking. I hadn't done anything sort of too serious on the bike and hadn't
Yeah.
swum, you know,
I,
much at all. So
I remember you
what
first
I
coming to the pool.
Yeah. So yeah, you was probably one of the first sort of coaches in the lane. I literally started in lane one.
Yeah.
Um,
Ah, that's
and
right. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
yeah, I
Long time ago.
hadn't really sort of done any sort of proper swimming
Yeah.
um probably since school, so um yeah, and that was it. And when I started running, after I started running, yeah, the dirt half was actually my first race, and I always then had a goal of doing the London Marathon, and I'd kind of looked into it, and my goal was to get a good for age place at London Marathon. So yeah, that's kind of
You
I'd
smashed
sort of
that.
set that goal early on. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely smashed that goal. I mean, I don't know what the good for age is now. It's what is it? Something like is it three three
Uh,
hours?
2:55 it is
I
now
were.
is
Yeah,
the lowest time. Yeah.
it's me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I remember you in the pool. I mean, that was a long time ago when I was doing
Mm.
the lane one. And then I think I went up to, so lane one is people just beginning learning front crawl in sort of triathlon and competition, and working their way up to lane six. We got the six lanes there at the minute with the club. And yeah, and we might come on to a little bit later, but I remember being in lane four and five, and um, uh, my observations of you as a swimmer, you're quite delicate with the placing of the hands in the water, and when you were novice to the triathlon, I don't know if you would agree, but I think your swim was the least strong of your disciplines.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then I can't remember what it was, which competition, um, but you started to be getting pretty good at the swimming as well. There was a definite sort of mark from when you first kind of came into lane four,
Mm.
and obviously picking up all the cues and yeah, you came out of that and you were quite a strong competitor all around. But I'm sure we'll come on to that a little bit later. Excellent. So yeah, I mean you're chasing good for age there, and then I mean in terms of clubs, you were part of Leighton Buzzard Triathlon Club. Did you had affiliations with other running clubs as well?
Yeah, so I also joined Redway Runners in Milton Keynes because at the time I was working in Milton Keynes and I knew a couple of people that were part of the club over there and that lived in Milton Keynes. So
Yeah,
I joined them for a period of time, but still kind of kept my kind of membership with the Tri Club as well, because still wanted to sort of do that side of things as well. But yeah, joined Redway to kind of mainly focus on sort of the running side with them at the time.
Right. Brilliant, yeah. And sorry, remind me. So that would have been like we started as a club at 2011, and so when you were let me see. Okay, I'm just going to shut that. So in 2011, we started as a club. So when would you have joined with us then?
I joined in 2012. So yeah, not long after the club had started. So
Wow, wow,
yeah, the members weren't as big then as what they are now.
yeah,
And yeah, it's good to see still a lot of the faces that are around today, that were there,
yeah,
back
yes,
then, like yourself.
yeah, yeah. I've been in like the furniture, been there.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so the next question I got for you is when was your oh, I suppose nicely leads into the next question about the dirt half. I'm just gravitating about that race. So when was your first dirt half, and how would you say your training and race performance has evolved since that sort of first race you did there?
So the first time I done the half was in 2011,
Hmm?
and that was my first kind of proper competitive race and first half marathon.
Yeah.
I done that in an hour and 33, and finished in 36. So at the time, I was really pleased with that because being my first sort of proper race. Um, I had done training for it, but obviously I had no idea what it was going to be like at the time. So yeah, I was really pleased with that, and as it's a local race, it's a great race to kind of
Yeah.
do and support and everything. And yeah, this year was actually the 10th time that I've done it.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a great race, and it's one towards the end of the year, so it's one sort of pretty much finish up the year and the season. And in terms of how sort of training and the race performance has evolved, um, because it's kind of off road slightly, bits of it sort of through Rushmere and through the woods and everything. Doing the cross country races started in October, helps with that. Kind of
Uh,
your kind of off road sort of
yeah.
training as well, and your hill training, that sort of thing. So yeah, the race performance has obviously evolved, you know, pretty well. Um, being able to sort of get on the podium a number of times and win it as well. So
Brilliant. No,
yeah,
that's yeah, I think I do remember. What year was it that you won it the first time? What was that?
I
Was that
think the
just
first I think the first year I won it, I think was 2021. Yeah, it was just
okay?
after COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, it's just I remember going to a tri talk and it was somebody from the club who was a nutritionist, and we went over to the I think one of the warehouses. Chris Leach, our former chairman, he's got a
Yeah.
out there, and I think I picked you up in the car, and you were telling me about, oh, I did this race at the weekend and I won. I said, what your age group? And he goes, no, I won. I said, that's amazing. Oh, that was a while ago then.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. I remember that talk. Yeah.
I thought, oh my gosh, that's incredible. Um, but yeah, just something that kind of sprung to mind. But okay, I mean that goes up nicely onto the next question about your training structure. I mean, and this is kind of really what I'm interested in sort of passing on to other members. I'm not all members, I'm sure, are looking to uh, grab your time or your podium place. It'd be hard pressed to, I'm sure, but maybe some. Um, but I suppose for many of the club members is when they're first getting into training, it's how do they target their A race? How do they prepare and how do they sort of kind of train? And then maybe there's something um, in I mean, obviously you're training at a high level there, but I'm hoping that you can share with us some of that structure that might maybe just be able to help some of the members.
Yeah. So the first thing I'd say is if get a plan and try and stick to a plan. And you kind of have to obviously make sure training isn't everything, so you have to make sure it kind of fits around work, personal life, home life, family, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Um, but for me, um, my a normal sort of training week and training sort of plan for me is around it's sort of 6 days of training a week, and I've one full rest day, and that's a complete rest day. That's not any kind of active sort of recoveries or anything like that. It's a complete rest day. So yeah, nothing at all.
Yeah.
And I find that works well for me. I've kind of done that for a while now, and it works for me. And I have my rest day on a Friday, so when you're kind of doing bigger sessions at the weekend, you're totally refreshed and ready for them.
Yeah.
Um, when I'm sort of in marathon training, then for me, and especially this year, having PB'd at London over the marathon, just getting more miles in was sort of key for me.
Mhm.
Um, and doing that was over several sort of double run days during the week. So I'd have probably two sort of double runs during the week,
Yeah.
sort of spread out by a couple of days, so you've got time to recover between those.
Mhm.
Um, and the benefit of those is obviously your body's getting used to running on tired legs,
Yeah.
sort of
Uh,
getting used to that sort of fatigue, and
mhm.
also it's a way of getting sort of more miles in the legs as well. So for marathon for me, I would this year and this season, I probably topped out around on average about sort of between 60 and 70 miles a week.
Wow.
Um, so it's a lot of miles, but
Yeah. Yeah.
if you've got time and you can do it, then
Yeah.
that's great, because obviously the more time you're sort of putting out there and on your feet, then it's obviously it's going to be a benefit.
Volume, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
What,
alongside that, yeah, sorry.
sorry, what that equate to in hours? I mean, that must have been sort of 15 hours, 10, 15.
It's usually, I think, around about sort of 10. But
Yeah.
within that as well, what I was just going to go on to. So I do sort of some yoga and strength as part of that. Probably not as much as what I should do, but more than what I did do um, a few years back. So I have incorporated, yoga sessions and strength and conditioning sessions into my training each week, which has helped to, just obviously just keep that sort of strength up, and as I'm getting older, I kind of to help kind of reduce the injury, and which you obviously don't want to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and for me as well, doing the because obviously I prefer the longer sort of endurance events, like you say, half marathons, but doing the track sessions on a Monday
Yeah.
with Paul
Yeah.
has made a big difference as well.
Oh,
And yeah, they're kind of shorter, sort of faster sessions,
yeah.
but that kind of does help with your longer endurance stuff as well. And those have been, for me anyway, those have been a big benefit
Yeah.
for me. And yeah, I'd say for anyone, in the club, to come along to them, because don't be put off by them, because it's on a track and you might think that it's
Mm.
only for you know
Elite.
really fast people. It's not. It's
Yeah.
it's obviously open to everyone. And
Yeah.
you know,
I,
speak to Paul
yeah.
Williamson about it, and we split up into different groups of different abilities. So yeah,
Fantastic.
it's great.
I remember Paul because I used to go to those sessions and I used to love them. I'll need to get back into it, like many
Yeah,
things. And I remember him saying to me, like, if you want to run fast, you need to run fast.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And you do. I mean, and it's I mean, that's the whole point of intervals. The shorter sharper intervals, and then they get longer, progressively longer at the same intensity, and it's those kind of adaptions which really kind of work those higher end, and they're hard sessions, but
Yeah,
uh, my goodness me, they make such a difference.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Sorry, I interrupt there. I don't know if you had any more on that, but no, that seems like quite a excellent structure. The volume. So I think you're describing there with the Monday night sessions, the sort of spiky end of those sessions, and you describe some sort of longer volume runs at the weekend.
Yeah.
Uh, and sort of stuff in between, like kind of zone three tempo kind of stuff. Where does that kind of fit in? Is that
Yeah, so I do obviously, like I say, have the faster sort of track stuff, which I do on a Monday,
yeah,
then have an easier sort of recovery, easy run on a Tuesday, and then the other days, yeah, besides your kind of longer run at the weekend,
yeah,
mixed into that, yeah, as you say, whether it's a tempo run, intervals, fartlek run, that kind of stuff. So you've kind of got a mix of you kind of want a bit of mix of easy stuff, easy sort of recovery stuff plus faster stuff, and then your kind of longer, slower runs at the weekend. So you've got a bit of everything in there.
excellent. Okay, I mean, uh, that kind of comes into the next question because what we're talking about here is a lot of you running, and of which you've had quite enormous success both at Dirt Half and other races, sort of high profile races. But I mean, we're a triathlon club, and some of the triathletes listening, um, they might want to think, yeah, he's a good runner, but can he swim? Can he ride a bike? And what would you say to those?
I'll say that's a good question. And I can,
Yeah, you
and
can. Yeah,
I
you
can,
can.
yeah. I I need to get back to Thursday swimming sessions, which I am going to do.
Yeah,
But yeah, as you kind of said earlier, swimming was and still is my weakest discipline. So I know that that's something that I do need to put the work in on, um, and isn't the easiest for me. But yeah, I've done several triathlons and duathlons, and yeah, I'm keen to sort of get back into them and kind of a bit of history. I've done Ironman Wales in 2017, and
that's it.
then
Yeah.
I've done the Outlaw in 2019, which some of the others in the club done as well. Which
Yeah.
unfortunately the bike didn't happen that year because of
Ah,
the weather and everything. So
yes. Yes.
yeah, it ended up being just a swim and a run in the end. But um, so yeah,
Yeah.
I can do
Well,
both.
I, I think it might have been in your preparation for Wales. I remember doing the Marl Half, which was June, middle
Yeah.
or June. And I remember the bike, it was a two-loop bike. And Jeremy Pugh, one of our other members, and myself were kind of sort of doing the yo-yo thing. He'd go ahead, I'll go ahead. And we get into this hill. And I think it might have been on the second lap. But anyway, you kind of went past and you kept on going. And both me and him said, yeah, we'll catch him on the run, I'm sure. That's not a chance. And you just kept on going. And I must admit, I couldn't catch on the bike then. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so you were strong in the bike. You were obviously in really good form that year. And Wales is September. I mean, that was. I'm pretty sure it was that year because you were in really good form that year. Your swim was coming on. Clearly,
Mm.
your bike by that effort was there. And yeah, I mean, yeah. What I also think a lot of people would associate you as a quite a high level runner. Um, I mean, you've obviously applied the structure and the training and the recovery, which is so important, all this to get some really good performances and in those other races. I think he did pretty good at those other races as well, the triathlons, and from what I can recall.
Yeah, yeah, like I say, I really did enjoy them. And yeah, Ironman, I was really pleased at sort of my result there. Well, and outlaw as well, albeit without the bike. But
Yeah.
yeah, the other sort of triathlon races that I've done, yeah, really pleased with my results. The I did do the Marlow, which was I think when the Cowman I done as well,
Yeah, yeah,
which was a great race, and
yeah.
I had a great race there as well. But like I say, yeah, duathlons as well. Doing those, they're great as well, and good to sort
They're
of before sort of the triathlon season. They're a good kind of lead up to the
absolutely
season. So
they're really
kind of
they're
work on your
really
bike
tough
training.
as well. Really.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they had Wendover. There used to be up in the hills out there that they used to do a duathlon kind of February time, and we used to have one over in Ashridge. They used to.
Ashridge, yeah, they do some great series there. Yeah.
But like you say, they're kind of in the winter season, just building you into
Mm.
the season in the summertime. But yeah, I mean, there's no hiding in a duathlon, that's for sure.
No, not at all. No, it's kind of all out from the start.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Okay, so the last question is a top tip for training tip for LB Tri members, whether training and racing competitively, like yourself, or recently finding themselves signed up to their first A race, and they kind of want to know, oh my God, how am I gonna, what's the best tip to get me prepared for that?
Um, I think going back to one of the points I said earlier is get a plan and sort of have a structure that you can stick to, so you know kind of what you're doing on what days, rather than
Yeah,
just going out for a run or going out for a ride or a swim. You kind of want to have a plan, so you've got a session already sorted so that you can go out and do it. Um, and if you can get a coach to
yeah,
help, because that well, I've used coaches, and they're a big help. They not only kind of keep you accountable for your training, but they're somebody that you can speak to if you've had a bad session. You can talk about it, go over it with them. They can kind of
yeah,
pick you up when you've kind of had a bit of you know
yeah,
a bad session. That it might be a bad session, it might not be, but they can kind of help you with that, and kind of advise on what sort of sessions you should be doing, and that sort of thing. um but obviously, a coach isn't for everyone, but a key thing is obviously enjoy your training.
yeah,
Whatever it is you're
absolutely.
doing, if you don't enjoy it, then you know probably
Yeah,
don't do it, because it shouldn't be a chore and arduous. You should go out and enjoy. Or whether like today, it's not that great to go out for a
no,
run or
yeah,
anything, but um, you know, just enjoy your training, because
that's
yeah,
key.
it should be something that you
Absolutely.
do.
Yeah,
Um, and just another thing, speak to other members in the club. There's plenty of other members that have done all distances, of all kind of races, all different abilities. So someone will have other advice and tips and everything to share. But a
yeah,
other top tip is listen to your body as well. And if you're not feeling 100%, then skip a session. Don't do it. There's no point in thinking, oh, it says it on the plan that I've got to do this, so go out and
that's
do it. And
worst mistake. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And then you'll either a couple of days later, a week later,
you're out.
you're out then for a couple of days or a week. So um yeah, listen to
Brilliant.
your body, rest, plenty of rest, eat well. And yeah, top tip, just enjoy it.
Absolutely. I think that last point, enjoyment, is the key. I mean, this is why we do it. This is why we join a club. And actually, the club aspect is part of that, the socialization. I mean, I remember trade for Ironman and doing sort of 5 hour rides and
Mm,
just by myself. And sometimes that's great because you're kind of with your thoughts and in beautiful roads and whatever. But yeah, I mean the banter and the socialization and with the club, I mean it's great motivation.
Yeah,
Like you say, you get tips from people where they are and you may trying something different and lift you up when you're struggling.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It is a
yeah,
it is a journey and it can be a struggle for sure. But yeah, if you
yeah,
don't love it, then what's the point?
exactly. Yeah,
Excellent. Okay. Look, I won't take up any more time. Absolutely delighted that you're able to share your insights and your experience, and so much congratulations. Honestly, your performance and it's just phenomenal, and hopefully an inspiration to other club members.
thank you.
Um, and it's also really nice that you're still wearing the kind of the green and black as well all these years. Uh,
Yep,
and yeah, thank you supporting the club and yeah, look, hopefully see you in the pool and we can get you doing some intervals again.
yep. No, I will be back. I will be back. Yep,
Fantastic. Excellent. So thank you, Jamie. I'm gonna sign off there and we'll do this with some other my plan is that to do this with various races, not necessarily podium, but I'm hoping there'll be some podiums this year. I'm sure there will, but across the membership and celebrate their journeys and their successes at the races.
yep.
So thank you for being the first one.
No worries. Thank you for having me. Cheers, Brian.
So, thank you. I'm going to stop this now.